Andrea French, Executive Director for TAG, and I'm here hosting our first kickoff for our HomeSide Chat series with Fort Bend County Judge KP George.
Good afternoon to you, and also thank you for all of you, sharing your time, because we all are busy and we are in the forefront. And thank you for doing this. And as you know, we are working 24/7 behind the scene, and I don't have any day off. I am at work. When I go home, I get phone calls and video chat and all that stuff happening behind the scene. The number one priority is doing whatever I can to make our citizens, our residents safe. And I'm very proud to say that we are making every step possibly under the circumstances to accomplish that goal.
So wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for all the work that you are doing, essentially being on the front lines during this pandemic. One of the things too, I'm sure our listeners are curious, is how you are taking the time to find that clarity and that focus with working such long hours during such intense times.
See, first of all, my day start very early, and we start with a command call, the first thing. And so we wanted to hear from our Office of Emergency Management staff. We wanted to hear from our Health and Human Services Director and staff who is working under her. And we wanted to hear from our law enforcement. The command call is the number one thing we do first thing in the morning. And then every day there is no planned way to work. As you can understand, and as you have noticed, this is an evolving situation. Like every hour, every maybe 30 minutes, we plan something, and our staff is working so tirelessly so that they could accommodate these things, because sometimes they call, somebody say this or that, and so there is so many things are changing, and so we are trying to adapt, accommodate those high demand situation. But wholeheartedly I will do it, because I know that what we are doing here today is saving lives. And like I said, again, I repeat, that's our number one priority.
Absolutely. And I know that one of your priorities since you were elected judge has been emergency preparedness. Yeah. And I think you must be counting some lucky stars that you have put so many wonderful emergency preparedness platforms in place. Sure. However, we understand that this is its own emergency preparedness that we've never seen before. And so can you share some things that maybe some lessons that have already been learned, and also some things that you already had in place that you're really grateful that you already had in place to be ready for this type of moment?
And if you go back and look at I campaigned, my number one item on my goal was emergency preparedness. And right. Because I thought we could do a better job. And so that's why when we came into office, the first thing I did is hiring a new Office of Emergency Management coordinator. And then the first day we did that. And then we did some studies. That person happened to be our fire marshal. And so then we realized, the fire marshals and OEM staff respond to any emergency almost simultaneously or together. And so what we can do to streamline the two different departments doing two different things. So we moved on, we did some study on it, and it came back positive, and we combined that two department and under one command. And I tell you, it saved our citizens money, close to $250,000 a year. And plus I have seen the efficiency where they are working with seamlessly, because they have more resources available, there are more personnel available under one command. And so with this, and obviously they are working closely with our HHS, which is Health and Human Services Department, and they are the boots on the ground really with this situation. So coordinating with them. And we have a new HHS director we appointed like 2 months ago, and she walked in and this is what she got. And And she's doing an amazing job, Dr. Jacqueline Minter, and an amazing job coordinating and understanding and sending the information out.
Right, right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I would wonder too, after we climb through the peak of this pandemic, there will be opportunities for reflection and looking back on things that we now know that we should have implemented on a regular basis. So I'm curious if you already have any thoughts on uh, changes that we would need to make in our kind of communications infrastructure and our emergency preparedness infrastructure, given the current circumstances and what we've already learned in such a short amount of time.
And it's so timely, that question, the lessons learned. And our office, and I realized, we have to have a combined communication um, plan in place, because we have noticed there is certain hiccups here and there. So that's the very reason why I hired a communication consultant to coordinate the communication between HHS and the Office of Emergency Management and County Judge's Office and other entities. And she will be leading that effort, because immediately I believe in, when you notice there is a need, you need to act on it. So somebody who we hired, and she's already taken steps last couple of days to coordinate that effort. And so that's one thing we learned, because when this kind of a pandemic, it is so important we send out information which is without any confusion to public. And it is, that is a top priority. And so that's one of the other steps we took. And also we learned there is a problem, and so we acted on it immediately to fix that problem.
Well, and I commend you on that, because there's a lot of information coming out, a lot of misinformation that's coming out right now. And so I am curious kind of where you look to get your numbers. You mentioned the command call, but we here at home, you in your leadership position, we are inundated with those numbers that are constantly changing, and information that is constantly changing and shaping how we individually and professionally are making our decisions. And so have you found any sources that are, kind of your target for what you focus on for your information? It sounds like there is a kind of a collection of resources and numbers and information, but is there a point resource that you would point people at home to for kind of the best and the most current information, whether it would be locally or kind of nationally?
Correct. And so as a government entity, and I always encourage people, the information we collect and the information we process and the information we put out there have to be accurate. Because there is, in this day and age, this world of social media, people spreading so many stuff, and it's easy to share it. And, so I always encourage our citizens to get their information from the reliable source. And answer your question, we are a reliable source because we put out information after verification and vetting it up to whatever the level we can feel comfortable to put out. And so answer your question here and where we get the information. We get information from our regional partners. We get information from our state, and of course CDC and other governmental entity and local partners like hospitals and local community related leaderships, and people out there. So we get the information from them, and we obviously vet that information, making sure when we put it out, that is the correct information. And so in that, our Office of Emergency Management and also Office of Health and Human Services doing an amazing job partnering with the region, because coronavirus doesn't have any boundaries. And so I'm in constantly contact with Judge Lina Hidalgo, and also our Mayor Sylvester Turner and other government officials. And we are constantly, and also we want to make sure when we put out information, there is some unified message attached to it. And so we are using all these resources to provide the right information for our citizens.
Right. No, that's wonderful. And I think, with some of the ordinances that had come out and the stay-at-home work orders and things like that, for the business sector, that was challenging to understand, getting the permits for their employees, the exemptions and things like that. And so, with respect to TAG and our large audience, which is the industry of transportation infrastructure, wanting to keep that work moving forward as much as possible. What have you seen as far as the continuation of the road work and the infrastructure work that needs to continue to kind of keep life moving forward? Has that been a challenge, or has that been pretty seamless?
I always said this. Obviously, in our case, the infrastructure it's so important, and especially when it comes to Fort Bend County, which is one of the fastest growing counties in the country, and the way we are growing with 52,000 people in the 1970 census. And so far, the last number I heard is 810,000 people. And when the census is set and done, I don't know how many, what that number look like. So infrastructure is always going to be a priority for us. There is no question about it. And so, and also think about when we need to, like for example, bringing in supplies, and our roads and our infrastructure is important. Especially this is a trying time, and making sure we have that. And let's say, I mean, we are forgetting the fact that a month from now, it's hurricane season is going to start, and we don't know what to expect. And our county, one of our challenges, our evacuation routes are not, Highway 59. They always said, don't come up, like so. So we have to look at, Highway 36 and other pathways as evacuation routes, making sure our residents, in case we have an evacuating situation. So answer your question, infrastructure is always going to be a top priority, because we have to build roads, continue to build roads. And I mentioned when we met last time, we have around 1,952 miles of roads owned and managed by Fort Bend County. And that numbers are growing every year, like, 20, 30 miles. And, and it's continued to happen because people are moving in, and we need more roads, we need more infrastructure. And we are working at the moment. We are not talking about, that's not the time to talk about building roads right now. But the thing about it is, it is in our thoughts. And we are going to have, most probably we are working on having a mobility bond for 2020 general election. And so, answer your question, short answer is, infrastructure is going to be a top priority always, because that's the future. And that's how we are going to grow. And people don't want to come to Fort Bend County. If there's a perception out there, don't go there, it's a gridlock. And they have so many other places to go and buy houses. They have choice. And so we want them to come here, and we want them to live here and peacefully, and with transportation availability for their employment, for their leisure, whatever that may be.
Right.
And I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did. And I think one of the things, we at TAG, one of the things that we're really focused on is finding the stories where our infrastructure is continuing to move us forward through this pandemic and through this crisis. Even when we are home and we are, sheltering in our home right now, how is the infrastructure still working for us, even though we are not able to move in our normal ways? And so, we believe that our infrastructure is part of the healing stories that we're hearing, right? The shipment of supplies and medicine and masks, and utilization of the shipment of goods with our freight and our ports, and fueling our families to keep moving on the trails, because that is the place where we are now moving the most. And so those are the stories that we're really focused on, and you're gonna see us launch a campaign to help kind of keep that movement at the forefront of people's minds, because we truly believe too that it's going to be this industry that helps really pull us out of what we believe will be a recession, depression. You're hearing all different kinds of comments, because it is a job stimulator as well. So
I just wanted to add there also something. See, infrastructure and building our roads and rebuilding our roads and other infrastructure it's a twofold benefit to the society. Now
Mhm.
you get an immediate job. You need to have workers. You need to have people working to build that. And of course, you are investing into your future so that you have a better infrastructure. So it worked both ways. And I also read somewhere at the federal level, they're talking about, an infrastructure package.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm excited to see that because people need, and as you can see that around 6.6 million people file for unemployment. And so we need to put them back to work as soon as we can. And then they should have a job. I mean, so this is infrastructure is a very favorite, I mean, truly favorite subject for me because it benefits both ways.
Right, right, right. The return is significant, right? The return on investment. And
And
so
there
that's,
is an immediate return and also a long-term return. That's what I
yeah.
like about it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I would ask too, we talk a lot about the professional piece of your day and kind of looking forward and some lessons learned. And I am always curious with our leaders, you have the responsibility of being on the front lines with families at home. And so, kind of what does that feel like for you, and how, and kind of a personal uh, reflection on how this has impacted you and your family, and just kind of the day to day and what that feels like.
It's not an easy thing, and I guess when we go to work, we like to get a day off and stay home. But
Right.
when you have a lot of day off and you stay home, it is not a easy thing. And we have noticed a spike in domestic violence, and we have noticed
Right.
a spike in child abuse and pet abuse and things of that nature. And so one thing we are recommending, you have to look at things in a different way. You have to find a way to entertain or manage your time in such a way. And in my case, and obviously we are, this is a trying time. People need to understand this will get to pass. Together we will work this together. And we live in America. I have no doubt we are going to be maybe 3 months from now. This is going to be a story. We will be talking to our young people. Maybe it is going to be part of the history, and one day, and we will be teaching our children. And so answer your question. What one thing I do is I always did this, and I keep something in my office. It's a Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and because I don't think I'm the smartest person out there, and sometimes you have to make challenging decisions, and I always look up for guidance, and I did that, and I got that. Always, I have some kind of a feel. I always tell my staff also, I got to feel it in my heart when I'm making a decision. And I ask for that wisdom. Always I do. And, to support our animal shelter, and I have 2 dogs already, but I'm fostering, a dog. His name is Bot. And he is home, and he is, making all of us happy. And, he's trying to get used to the other guys, and the other guys thinking, who is this guy coming into our house? So this is a fun time for us. And also helping people, as I mentioned before, is my passion. And I believe why I'm put in between all this stuff, there is a purpose behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I've been put in here to protect the life and the well-being of our citizens in Fort Bend County. And I feel like I'm so thankful to God. He put me here so that I could be part of this discussion. And I'm so thankful God gave me this opportunity. And also, I just wanted to say this: when you have challenging times, that's when you see the quality of people. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm surrounded by a lot of wonderful people, and our Fort Bend County Judge's office, and some of them, those people, and our OEM department, and they all are there, and tirelessly working. And my OEM coordinator sending emails at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then he's there for the 7 or 8 o'clock conference call. And
Right.
so
Right.
and so with the Health and Human Services Department. So I come to see a lot of our wonderful people trying to contribute. And also I never can forget our first responders. and they are the boots on the ground. And when our EMS get a call, they cannot say, I'm not going in because this person got coronavirus. They are going in and picking up that person. And I don't know how I will thank, if anyone, I mean, your viewers, I recommend when you see somebody in uniform, just go to them and say thank them. I mean, because they are behind the scene working 100%. So you, me, all can go home, and at the end of the day, we could sleep, but they are awake.
Yeah, no, I love that message. And I think your comment too about, my goodness, you have so much on your plate and you chose to adopt another animal. And I think one of the things that, for me personally as well is when in moments like this, right, what do? You give service to others. And how can you find service and look at it through a different lens? Because we can't perhaps do the service in the ways that we are accustomed to. And so, how can we? And so I think the challenge, if I'm hearing from you to our viewers, is to keep working forward in good faith and to find ways to lift each other up, to thank each other, and to thank our leaders. And so I always appreciate your leadership. You are sincere and you are always willing to reach out and communicate and share. And so that is appreciated. And in times like this, it is the shining example of leadership.
I consider this as an honor. Unbelievable. Starting from a little village in South India and walked to barefoot to school, and living in a little hut, kind of a little home and house, and came to the other side of the world, and I learned my English in my adult years. And so the people of Fort Bend County give me an opportunity to serve them and set a level. To me, sometimes I get goosebumps when I think about it, because this is absolutely a God's decision and God's calling. And I will do everything possible under my power to continue to help and protect people, because I love people. And one of the hardest thing I'm facing is I'm a person like to shake hand with people and hug them and all that stuff. And so my staff said, we all know that you like to do it, but you cannot do it now, kind of thing. And it's hard for me.
It's very hard.
It is hard for me not to do that, but of course we are forced not to do it. And for a reason, for a good reason. My point is, I'm here, my message to the residents of this region. I mean, you have good people working tirelessly and, with passionately to make a difference. And this is a trying time. And so let's all work together, pray together. And also I'm saying, people who are staying home, this is a time to sit back and reflect on our life. Because sometimes we go 90 miles per hour, right? We have no idea what is going on, but this is maybe a time to reflect on our life and see what we are doing and what is our purpose and why we are here, why this actually happening, in front of us. And so I really want people to look at the good side of it. And it's hard for me to tell them when they lost their job.
Right.
Just sit and relax, kind of thing. It's hard for me to say that. 6.6 million people filed unemployment so far. And that is huge number. That's a huge number. So I just want people to know that more than anything else, I pray for those people. I pray for our country, and I pray for the citizens and people who are going through struggles in their life. And because of this pandemic, and actually, as a matter of fact, my cousin's brother-in-law passed away in New York yesterday.
I'm sorry about that.
And he was only 47 years old.
Wow.
Coronavirus. And he was only 47 years old. So my thing is, this is happening right here in front of us. And he was not 70-year-old. He was a 47-year-old guy. And so this is happening to somebody who I personally know for a long period of time. So I just want people to know that, this is a trying time, and it get to pass. And together I have no doubt, together we are going to be over with this, and we are going to thrive as a community. And also when it comes to small business owners, I wanted to say that we are going to be working very closely with the Small Business Administration to bring the availability of the loan and have seminars, and so whatever we can do to help them, because I know that because of my order, and now it is become Governor Abbott's order. And
Right.
so um, see, people are out of work and small businesses close down. I know that. And it is a hard thing. I mean, that's their livelihood. And
Right.
so I just want them to know that I'm well aware of that. So we will do everything possible, because small businesses are our economic engine, right?
Right,
And
absolutely. And many of our firms that are doing a lot of the design and the construction work and things like that for infrastructure are smaller businesses. And so some are larger, but many are smaller. And so, we're also TAG is pulling together a webinar to support and provide information on some of the relief packages that are coming through, because it's coming through fast and it is going to be a quick grab. And so, the thought is that there will be additional relief packages or additional relief opportunities, but there's so much uncertainty right now. So it's great to hear you talk about the smaller businesses and understanding the need to support them through this.
And one more thing, I leave you with this, because there are people, Fort Bend is, we are very blessed. Most of our population are well educated and well to do, but we have pockets where day laborers live, and
Right.
they used to go to work and get their pay that day so that they could go to grocery store and buy their
Right.
food. Those people don't have a job, and
Right.
they have families, they have children.
Right. Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking for me, our
Yes.
children sitting home and they're hungry. And
Right.
so I just want your viewers to find a way, get out, and find some of these people, buy them some grocery, and we do that kind of stuff. But that's what America is all about. And so
Right.
don't forget those people. They exist right here in Fort Bend County, right here in Houston area. They are there. And buying, if you see somebody, just buy them something to eat or something. I don't know what it is, but they are there, and please don't forget them also.
Yeah, that's a great message. So I know that you are beyond busy, and I hope that this is not our last opportunity. We would love to sit down with you again sooner than later, and talk about kind of, as we move through this pandemic, and kind of looking forward, how this is going to shape some of our policy decisions and emergency preparedness in the future. You are a wealth of knowledge and expertise in a short amount of time, and we appreciate you and your leadership. And to our viewers, you heard Judge George's message today: service, patience, gratitude, and just keep moving forward and stay informed. And so we thank you, Judge, for joining us for our first HomeSide Chat. You did great.
And actually,
And,
I would love to come back. And
okay.
TAG is actually one of our best partners. And so anytime you just tell us, and I look forward to continue to work with you and your leadership, and what you're doing is for this region is amazing. And that is what I always say. Fort Bend County, or this part of this region, is blessed with so many wonderful organizations
Yes.
um, to help, and I call them our partners. And TAG is one of the top organization do that. And thank you for what you all do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and stay well, peace, and more sleep. We wish you more rest.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed our HomeSide Chat. We would also like to thank our mobility partners for sponsoring this series. Stay tuned for more episodes like this.